Hi everyone, this is what Becky did last night, and this is part 2 of our second Bird Crazy picture book, which is the Halloween one. And in this part we're going to be assembling the birds. In this video I'm using Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous Bird Crazy stamps, plus the crazy things. I'm using the Bird Crazy dies. To colour in I'm using a lot of distress inks, and I'm going to use a fine black pen, a thick black pen, and a few other pieces that I'll name along the way. So to start off with, I'm going for the black archival ink, and I am inking up my range of stamps, and each stamp is going to be stamped out twice. So they do all fit on one nice A4 piece of card. I'm using a Sheena Douglas stamping card. I'm also not going to re-ink on this one for the second stamp. So all I'm doing is I'm inking it once and stamping it twice. And then I'm going to use the slightly faded one to be more of the background piece. Now here we go. So I'm also going to stamp out now our Crazy Things stamps. There's the mask that we made for the first part. And so there's various little bits I'm taking from here, anything to do with Halloween. So I've got the loot bag for the trick-or-treaters. I've got a paintbrush, which I'm going to turn into a magic wand. I have a couple of the hats, a bow tie, and I've got a balloon, and I was looking at the string for the balloon, but I don't think I want to use the string. So to lay these out, I'm just going to pop them face down onto the card. Of course, I've got the witch or wizard's hat there. Flower, because I'm doing a little clown, and there we go. Take my acrylic block and I've picked them all up. It's like magic. So first time I use a stamp for stamping, I just rub it with ink first and then pat over, just so it's got something to grab to. So using the rest of the white space, I'm just going to get the last stamp or so done, because obviously we need a broomstick. We've got that fabulous full moon, that's definitely going to need a broomstick. I'm also going for another hat because I'm going to have a witch and a wizard. So for our first bird, I'm going for a combination of hickory smoke and chipped sapphire. He's going to be our wizard guy, so I'm just going to colour in his wings in chipped sapphire. So these are going to be cut out and laid on top. I've sped up the video here because this is the longest section and I'm essentially just colouring in. So that's his wings done. I've also done his body in hickory smoke. And now I'm going in for his accessories. So he's having a wizard hat, exactly the same colours, so it all matches. Chipped sapphire for top and bottom of the hat. Then I'm going to go for some hickory smoke for the band of his hat. And then the magic ingredient is, which colour was this? It's liquid pearls and it is onyx pearl. And I'm going to go over the buckle. But before I can do that, I just need to get my push pin and unclog the end. Just be careful if you're sticking pins into your liquid pearls bottles, because you don't want to pop a hole in it. So just going over that buckle and this, oh, Mind it, Puddycat. And so the liquid pearls are just giving it a really cool feature to the hat. Lid goes back on. Lids on, lids on. There we go. And just for his beak, spiced marmalade. So I'm going for really bright beaks. Also, this bird has a surplus eyelid, for want of a better phrase, and I'm just going in with Chipped Sapphire yet again, just to give him a bit of guy liner. Just to finish him off, he's going to have a nice sticky bow with all coloured in, same colour yet again. Now moving on to our next bird, I'm going to go for gathered twigs straight away for that big broomstick. And that's probably the easiest thing I've ever coloured in with distressing. Gathered twigs is obviously a bit of a safe bet to go for when you're colouring in your broomstick, but why can't you have a bright green broomstick? So here I've decided that I'm going to get confused, so I'm just taking my pen and I'm labelling up all the bird pieces, so bird A, bird B, etc., and with all of their accessories as well. So when I come to cut them out, I know whose is whose. So bird 2 is going to be cracked pistachio and also shaded lilac. So she or he is going to be a witch character, so he's getting a nice green wing and a matching cat. Same for the beak, back with that orange again. And this bird comes with some eyelids, so same colour, lovely bit of eyeshadow. This is a fabulous witch. Shaded lilac going in on the body. Obviously I don't need to worry about the eyes or the wing because we've got those to be cut out. So just all over with this one. And then to give it just a little bit of belly detail, end of the hickory smoke. Job's a good un. Back to the hats, shaded lilac on the band. And for the buckle on this one, mint green liquid pearls. If you've never used liquid pearls before, it's a dimensional paint. So you have, when it dries, you can actually feel the buckle on there. Again, just unclogging it. I'm just labelling up everything for bird C, which is going to be a nice clown. I didn't want to do the scary clown, but he's going to have a nice clown hat. He's going to have another bow tie, and also the flower belongs to his hat as well. Colours I'm using for him, abandoned coral and scattered straw. And to start off with, I'm going to go in for his hat, colouring top and bottom. This time on the dicky bow I'm going to leave the knot because I'm going to do the knot in a different colour. And his beak this time is going to be abandoned coral. Going in with scattered straw now, I'm just making sure I've got a fairly clean dabber. And because this bird has got a very defined face area, I'm leaving that completely white, like the old school clowns with their white faces. So just one colour all over his body, and then that same colour again for the band on the hat and the knot of the bow. And so he's done. Oh, almost forgot the flower. So I'm going in for the flower. Squeeze lemonade for the petals, and you can't really see, but I think the inside has been left white. So that's our third bird. Moving on now, so bird D. Bird D is going to be a magician. I can only assume he's just not a very good magician. He also needs a dicky bow, so I don't have enough, so I'm going in and just stamping another one. Easily done. Labelling that one up as well. And of course, when I cut all the shapes out, I'm going to transfer the letters onto the back of the pieces because I am easily confused. Black soot and shaded lilac for this guy. And what's nice when you layer the wings up is you can use the wings as part of their outfit, or at least to suggest it's part of their outfit. So his body's going to be shaded lilac, but his wings are going to be black to give the illusion of some sort of cape or cloak. Colouring the paintbrush as well. It's not going to be a paintbrush forever, it's going to be a magic wand. So in over the wings, little dicky bow. Later on I decide that he needs to have a top hat as well. I don't think I stamp it in this part of the video, but you might notice it suddenly appear later on, and that's exactly the same colours. So on to our fifth bird now, and he's going to be a trick-or-treater. So he's got his loot bag. So spice marmalade. But of course now the most perfect colour would be carved pumpkin, if you're lucky enough to have that straight away. And I'm going to do his beak in two colours, so the top's going to be orange. And the bottom I'm going to go for barn door, which is the very, very, very red colour. Just colouring in his appendages. And then in with the hickory smoke for his body, but leaving his belly white, so just a bit of shading. Liquid pearls once more, this time pumpkin, of course. So I had a bit of a dilemma, and I'm using this on the handle to fix that dilemma. I don't yet have the dies to cut out the crazy things, so I needed to make the handle quite sturdy because I'm going to need to cut it out in two parts to get to the space underneath. So a little bit of liquid pearls and that will toughen that up for me. So our final bird now, he's going to be holding a balloon, a nice orange Halloween balloon. So again, just colouring the whole thing in. And in with the pen just to write on Halloween and a cute little, very, very basic ghost shape. This guy, maybe he's off to a Halloween party. And for colouring this guy, I was running low on ideas, to be honest, so I just go for orange and green, and the green I use is Mowed Lawn. Let's get his tiny, tiny beak coloured in, because he has the smallest beak I've ever seen. This guy is going to be Dotty. So here's the Mowed Lawn. Just using my dabber and it makes a perfect circle. So just dot, 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 dot. And the same with the orange. And to finish him off, I'm just going to colour in his little quiffy hair and his wing. And its tail, of course. So I went ahead and cut them all out with the die cuts that I've got for the birds. A useful tip for die cutting is on the dies themselves they have these little these little tiny pinprick holes. Use those holes to line up the black lines. And you can check out my first video where I did this for a bit more information. But it helps you line them up perfectly. So I have some black foam pads from Sticks 2, and I'm just using those to build up the pieces here for the decoupage elements. Anything that's really tiny, I'm just going to cut them down to size. You can see how they're all starting to come together. So now on with his accessories. Deciding where to line up the hat. Foam pad on his head. Nope, not on his head, I'm going for his hat. Okay then, so foam pads on his hat. And then exactly the same with his little bow tie. But to give it a bit more dimension, I'm just putting the foam pads on the side bow pieces of the bow tie so that the knot is more flatter, like real life. So there we go, here's our first bird ready. On to the next one. Same thing again, just some foam pads there to stick down his features. So foam pads come in white and black, so depending on what the project is that you're doing. So for example, this one is quite a dark Halloween colours, so I've gone for the black ones. Also at this stage I'm not going to stick him down to his broomstick because I'm going to use that to be flat against the background. So I need to leave it off him for now so I can position it correctly later. All I'm going to do now is just continue doing the layering of all the pieces, and I'm going to fast forward this part of the video. So now it's all going to start to come together. I've taken my first background here, which is our graveyard, which we made in the previous video. And I'm just using my Cosmic Shimmer Glue to stick down our first bird. And I've gone ahead and drawn out some puns. All I've done is I've taken some stamping card, I've used my fine liner to write out the words by hand, and I've used my black Sharpie pen to draw the speech bubble. So this one says, "Ghosts are silly, they make boo-boos." So our second background, which was the broken gate. There's the guy who's going to have his balloon. Now I've got some crafting string here. I've tied it to a knot, to the knot of the balloon. I've got some foam pads on the back of the balloon, and I'm going to use that to assemble this one. So glue on the back of the bird, Stick him down. Foam pads off the balloon. This balloon is going to be upside down, falling onto the ground, because he's not doing a very good job at keeping his balloon in the air. I'm going to just draw the line that I want to stick the string down to. I'm just taking that up to his foot, and then I'm placing his foot onto the string. There we go. Sticking down his pun. So he's off to a party. And so he's saying, I hope they have ice cream. Very clever. Third one, so here comes our witch on a broomstick. So I'm going to stick the broomstick down first. And here's our bird. Also some glue on the top of the hat. So there he or she goes, off into the evening. And the pun is, have you seen the new broomstick that's sweeping the nation? Ha 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 ha. And here's my excuse to use some stickles. This is stardust. I'm just going to put some dots. So this guy is off to a twinkly sky. Now I'm going to place him down separately because he's got to go and dry. So I don't want to put another one on top of him and ruin his sparkles. Okay, fourth one, so here's our dungeon. So I just had some tape holding to cover up the sticky on the bow tie there, so I've just removed that. Popping the glue down. Sticking him onto our dungeon. Making sure his magic wand. So that's the paintbrush, and I've cut off the brush part of it to make it into a wand. Sticking down his pun. And his says, the skeleton never showed up. I guess he didn't have the guts. Hilarious. I'm going to come back to him in a bit because he's not quite finished. This one, I have this awesome Halloween ribbon, which I picked up from Hobbycraft. Here's this Groves Trim Collection. And I'm using this as some sort of door decoration. So just my regular glue there, just sticking it down across the door. I usually do something similar with my door at Halloween. But usually it's a warning, keep out, danger, do not enter. Trimming off the excess. Here comes our bird, and he's dressed up as a clown. Just working out my positions. So there he goes, standing on the stoop. Oh, this guy's hilarious. See what he says, look. stuck down. Come on, let's have a look. Here we go. It's not that I can't juggle, I just don't have the balls. And obviously I appreciate that you can't see that. So yeah, I'm just going to ignore that and put that down. So here's our woodland. Now in the first video I said it needed something, needed some other texture going on. So this is a sack that my sweet potatoes came in, and I've just cut down some pieces. I used a little bit of this in my art journal video as well, if you've seen my latest Halloween one. And I'm just sticking it down because it kind of gives the effect of fallen leaves off the trees. It's the right colour and it's the right sort of strawy, organic-y look to it. It's just a little bit tricky to stick down because of course it's plastic based. So I probably am not using the right glue, but it does hold eventually. And what a difference that makes. That's all it needed, because I loved the trees, but it looked very flat and it needed something else. So this solved that problem. So in we go with our final bird. Oops, what's wrong with me there? I seem to have had a frozen moment, but here we go, I'm back. And his pun is, demons are a ghoul's best friend. Of course they are. Final touches. Last time we did this video, I used glossy accents for their eyes. This time I'm using crackle accents because they're a bit more creepy. And here's my selection of googly eyes, which I picked up, which are the great ones because they've got tiny weeny ones, different sizes, and they have ovals. So this is what I'm going to do, just put a bit of crackle accents down on the eyeballs, which sounds very painful. And you could leave it at that stage if you don't want to put the googly eyes, but I think given the nature that they're crazy, the googly eyes do help. And because crackle accents and glossy accents is in its own right an adhesive, you can just stick the eyes straight into it before they dried. You do need to keep an eye on these though, because what I found is when I put them to the side, for some reason my eyeballs started leaving my eyes. So they do tend to, I don't know if it's because of the crackle accent starting to crackle away and the eyeballs start slipping off, but just keep an eye on them. They're pesky little things. This goes great. I really love how you can see the stars sparkling away in the background. And as I say, so with those speech bubbles, I've just literally drawn, well, no, I wrote them out first, capital letters with a fine line pen, and then just drew the speech bubble by hand with a Sharpie pen to give a thicker outline, and then cut them out. There he goes, look. Oh, I had to come back for more sparkles. There we go. Here's our guy with the dungeon. So I finally found some old copper chain in my craft stash, and I just dropped that down through the hoops. And that's exactly what I wanted to put in the first video, so I finally found some. This guy's only getting one googly eye because he's not looking straight ahead. Of course, just going back to the speech bubbles, you can get some very nice speech bubble dies, which are great, but you're going to be, when you're working in a tight area like this, make sure it's going to fit. And then I find that if you're cutting out the speech bubble first, you then have to try and fill the space. Where this way around, if I'm doing it by hand, I can just draw my speech bubble around the actual letters. So some things, they just don't need to be made as complicated. So here's our last guy getting his eyeballs put in place. All done. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe for more What Becky Did Last Night videos, and stay tuned for part 3 when we assemble our pictures into a fabulous picture book.